Oh my god, everything's changed! Quick, check it out! Hi guys, welcome back to Casting Commons, the show where we talk and discuss all things Pauper. I am your host Teasdale, and this is my co-host, the Executioner's Capsule himself, Reese.
Hello.
Before we start, please do not forget to hit that like, subscribe and follow button so you never miss an upload. It also helps with our algorithm and is amazing at getting those exposure. It's a really great way to support us for absolutely free. So, pal, has anything happened this week? Have you been up to much?
Magic-wise, to be fair, I've probably had a pretty chilled week. I've played quite a bit of EDH. More just for Pauper, I've just been thinking about what decks I want to sort of jump on, as I haven't really been on Kuldor for much of late. It's sort of lost a bit of its sparkle. Just for me, I don't know why. I just sort of got a bit sick of it. But yeah, given the just announcement of what half an hour ago from the PFP, that might change. So there might be a few decks I have to take apart. So my next week's going to be a bit more interesting.
Yeah, that is definitely true.
So yeah, and I guess on top of that, we have a local Pauper event this Wednesday, so I need to build some up for that as well.
Yeah,
which has probably changed from what I was thinking about building. Yeah, other than that, I've been playing quite a bit of Lorcana as well. That's picked up locally. It's quite a fun game to jam.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
What about yourself?
Not a lot really. Just playing, recording, the usual. I picked Mogwarts back up again. It's probably not a good shout now, to be fair, but you know, Mono Red's gonna be everywhere.
It does seem like if you're not Hamuda, it doesn't do well in the challenges at the moment.
I think I did okay with it, to be fair. I've played 2 leagues. I 4-1'd both. My one loss was slightly annoying. I versed a guy that basically was on Dredge, and game 1 was fine. Basically, I comboed off. They responded by Gnaw to the Bonin and just went go. So, like, made me combo off through, like, 60 life. I was like, right, okay. So then I had about 13 minutes left on my clock, roughly, because it was quite a longish, grindy game of me trying to find the combo and stopping me from dying, all that sort of stuff. But then the thing that annoyed me the most was games 2 and 3. Their game plan was basically, I'm not going to win, it's you're not going to win. So they kept like the 4 Gnaw to the Bones in, then they kept 4 Coffin then they bought in 4 Coffin Burges, but then cut down to like 1 or 2 Lot Left Giants. So they're like, so instead of going like what it normally would be, the matchup would be like a race. It was, I'm going to time you out, but it wasn't in a here you go, I'll F6 you combo. It's very much like, the best way I can describe it, they were just being an absolute cunt. So basically,
Jesus.
So like it was in mid combo.
It is an odd way aside, like against Mogwarts in paper, like there's no way you're leaving in.
Yeah.
Like you maybe leaving 1.
Yeah, exactly.
If you've not got enough stuff to bring
Exactly.
in.
Which, don't get me wrong, like, even if the game plan is, end of turn, I have a 3 mana spare, I'm going to Gnaw to the Bone, sure. But they were actively, like, not playing anything, wait until I was comboing off, wait until I was mid-mana, like, mid-sacking, I'll cycle my troll. I'll cycle my troll. And it's like the relic trick, and it's just not a good, and it's one thing and one hill that I will die on. Like, I'm okay with people if they really want to make sure you are okay at combo. Like, if you really want to go, here you go, you use your time, combo, I'm all okay with that. But F6, please, don't be that guy. It's just not very sportsmanlike, and it's just not a good way to play the game.
I think that's probably the best way to describe it, is it's very unsportsmanlike.
Yeah, for sure. And I probably...
It's like, it's not against the rules, but it's, you just, if you're a reasonable human being, you just don't do that.
Yeah, 100%. And that's my gripe with the thing, and it's my gripe with the fact that Magic Online's stance on stalling is tap and untap is the only thing that's classed as actual stalling. Anything that is an actual legal game action is not stalling. But for me, like, if you're against Turbo Fog and they're going to stream of Thor Your Death going, haha, look at me cast my Prismatic Strands for black. Like, obviously, you can gauge intent by reviewing the content. But yeah, that was my only gripe, and I'm not about that like at all. I personally, as soon as I see someone with a win con, I concede it's not worth my time. Like I have better things to do with 13 minutes of my life. But
yeah, I think generally I usually let them like loop it once or twice. Like if it's fams or if
yeah,
it's Ultratron or Mogwarts, like once you've pinged me twice, yeah,
yeah,
you know what you're doing, you know
yeah,
what you're clicking.
exactly.
If they know to put the triggers on the stack in the right order, yeah, that's
Yeah,
good enough.
exactly. But like, I don't mind people going, here you go, you combo off, but please just
Yeah.
F6. Don't be that guy. It's just
Yeah.
not good. So, and that was kind of it. That was kind of what I did this week. I was just kind of picking up a deck that I enjoy playing, and I wanted to get better at it online. To be fair, I was fine time wise. To be fair, I think I was able to I got let combo. I'd actually say 3 out of my 5 games. So like
Okay,
they made
that's
me
higher than I would
yeah,
have expected.
which I was quite. Usually, I'd probably be lucky if I do it once, but I didn't mind. Like one game actually against a Jeskai Ephemerate player, they made me combo off, and they timed out, which was actually quite amusing. To be fair, like they made me combo off game 1, and then game 2 they won, and they had 30 seconds left on the clock for game 3, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
but
I guess it's maybe the difference between challenges and leagues.
mm,
Like I find challenges, people are just a lot more willing to be like, oh yeah, you've got the combo, I'll concede.
yeah, well, because it's timed as well. I imagine it's just very much like, I've got better things to be doing with this free time
Yeah.
until next round.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I've got 7 rounds of this or something. Like I have better things to do. But yeah, it's fun. I've been trying to brew, but also not at the same time because I can't really find anything interesting. I'm trying to save my energy for Modern Horizons 3.
Mm.
So yeah, so I've just been trying to pick up a deck that I like, a deck that I know, and sort of do well. It still can't beat Mono Red. Yeah, that's no.
Just put 8 blasts in the sideboard and splash blue.
Yeah, it's probably an option. I did try Weather the Storm for the Northern Pole Rover, and it sort of worked, but I didn't really verse it that much to get the reps in. I think I versed it like 6 times, and I went from winning like 1 out of 5 to maybe winning 3 out of 6 or something. Like it didn't increase it that much. Like, and the small sample size didn't really help. But yeah, it was all good. Anyways, on to the more exciting stuff. So tournament news. Castle Commons, West Coast Gamers, the 1st of June event, Battle of the Bolts, is slowly coming around the corner. It will be £15 entry, cut to top 8, receive a secret lair, and win a pack per win for everyone. There's additional prizes in the top 8. So please check out the link in the description below to buy your ticket. And keep your eyes peeled on Twitter and also here for obviously the latest information. So it'd be great to see you there. It is going to be an amazing event.
That'd be sick.
Next one, obviously, the LPI has gone international. The league, the only one I believe in the UK, Badger, is hosting their event on the 20th of July. That again will be in the description below. Any other of the UK events, please check out Papa Dan on Twitter as he's retweeting them all like a madman. Now on to the news. I don't think there's much news this week. I don't know why. Something might have. Anyways, the actual news.
There wasn't much news until like an hour ago.
Yeah, pretty much. So, time of recording. The last week, first of all, the Magic Online blog denoted that the Modern and the Pauper backup, the Sunday 32s, they were going to focus them on other formats, and they've put the backups, I think, on Pioneer and something else. But
I think essentially, as soon as the 64s firing consistently, it sort of loses the point of it being there.
So, so though the Sunday 32 has now ceased to exist, and we have the 3 challenges to cover, the Friday, the Saturday, and the Sunday. I personally think the Magic Online team got sick of GN winning and taking all the prizes home, so they decided to nerf GN. Finally, the update on the PFP is live. As of recording this now, it has just come live as an hour ago. We have just finished with spoiler recording with Hyson as a bonus episode that'll be on later this week, and you might get a surprise halfway through the episode as we both realise the announcement is live. So you get to see our genuine reactions there. I half expected it was just going to be a health update, and that was my understanding. But that is clearly not the case. So, grabbing the popcorn, drum rolls for those that haven't heard. The changes to the format is all that glitters has been banned, and the stickers and attractions, the attractions don't really apply to Pauper, but the stickers have been blanket banned from competitive play, and the Pauper format panel decided, as you could tell by the interviews we've had, nobody likes them anyways, so they were happy to ban them. Have you literally just been holding that, waiting for that to happen? What the hell was that?
Rip on.
So, yeah, so embiggen and things like that are still legal, but it is just stickers and attractions. I don't really know what else there is, to be fair, in the unsets that sort of pop are legal in.
Yeah, there is obviously cards like I just feel like they should have just banned the full set. Like, if you're gonna say all the cards that I've seen play are banned, just ban the rest of them as well. Like, it would have been much easier to just be like, this unset is now not legal in Black Border, rather than to have essentially a bunch of cards on a banned list under an umbrella.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marrow is clinging on to his baby not being banned from actual play.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. But yeah, it's a good start. Obviously, really big changes. Glitters being banned is going to change the format completely.
Yeah.
As we sort of discussed with Heisen briefly, like the blue-white deck is basically dead. The Boros deck will just be able to go back to its old Boros value pile ways.
Taking game actions, doing nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like running random ginger brutes or stuff like that anymore. It can go back to its sort of normal shell. The Jeskai version, I imagine, is probably dead. There's not a real reason to play the Jeskai version now over just playing Grixis Affinity. And I imagine Grixis Affinity will probably have a bit of a resurgence. Because Artifact Hate's probably going to go down now. There's not loads of glitters decks everywhere.
Definitely.
And then stickers. Well, the only relevant one really from the unban is the sticker goblin. There's that like chicken thing that
from sticker stumping
in mono green.
Yeah, and the fight spell that's from mono green as well. But
yeah, they're not really anything. But yeah, the sticker goblin getting banned is obviously a big nerf to the Turbo Initiative decks.
Yeah.
Like you had a video, was it last week?
Yeah.
Put that up?
Yeah. Nicely timed. I was thinking, I don't want this to be irrelevant.
It's probably enough to damage them. Like, you could run Seething Song, I guess, but it's definitely going to weaken them. It'll remove the like Bushwhacker side plan from the red green one in particular.
And just having less creatures to hit off the dungeon thing.
Yeah, the ultimate
thing, the Throne of the Dead 3 or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So definitely big changes for sure. Obviously, Pauper's mainly played online, generally. So the only uncard that you'll have probably seen is Embiggen and Namesticker Goblin, and they're the only two cards that are legal online. But obviously, as we mentioned, there is like stickers in random, like Paupergeddon's had some food sticker gate deck that give you makeshift munitions death touch a third of the time or whatever, or can potentially go infinite with Cauldron Familiar as well. There was like a combo there.
I think the big thing it removes from paper is just people playing stickers for no reason.
Yeah.
Like Heisen was saying then as well about like people at Paupergeddon just registering the sticker deck, shuffling it up at the start of every game and then just having no sticker cards. And that happened quite a lot in Legacy as well. Like people were just, I'm on Goblins, honest, and then just didn't play any sticker cards, but wasted like 2 minutes at the start of every game shuffling up.
Yeah, because I think, to be fair, looking at the getting sort of top 8 last time and the time before when stickers were legal, you found like quite a few decks just with a sticker pile for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, like, I think Adaptor played it in like FAMs, no command performance, whatever the card's called, like literally just no stickers. It's like I could be on Namesticker Goblin, and technically, as much as it is wasting time, it's in theory technically correct to do so because you more blindside your opponent.
Yeah.
So, and just removing that for basically is just the smartest thing to do. Other than that, the actual 2 bannings, effectively, or the ban and the blanket ban, there was other interesting things to note that Gavin mentioned. So one was obviously the Prophetic Prism unban. They've spoke about this quite a lot, and they said similar thing last time, was that effectively when Swift Spear was banned, was that the card can probably be unbanned. As there's obviously Energy Refractor, the format's changed quite a lot, but ultimately, while there's a lot of motion in the format, it's probably not best to do so, which I sort of get. You can kind of keep an eye on it when you change one thing at a time, almost.
I think this one, especially with the glitters ban, makes sense to not unban Prophetic Prism because decks like Tron will get a lot better now. Glitters isn't like gonna just eat it in one turn.
Yeah.
So banning a card that makes Tron better and then unbanning a card that will also make Tron better at the same time probably isn't the way to go. But yeah, they've essentially said it's still on the table that this is going to get unbanned. It just needs a format that's stable for them to just take it off the ban list and make sure it's okay.
Yeah, I think I think you're right, and I do agree. It makes sense. Like, I probably you could have argued unbanning it last time, and it probably would have sank in the format by now and all that sort of stuff. But I do think it's still. I do probably generally agree that it's probably not the right time to unban it.
Or just having more announcements and unbanning it 4 months ago, 5 months ago.
Yeah. We've said this multiple times though, and I think they sort of acknowledged it. Gavin seemed to acknowledge it in the video. Is that having that style of video where it's more casual, that he can easily just have more of these announcements, and I think that's fine. Like, not everything needs to be a YouTube video. I personally don't think, but it is nice. Obviously, it's visual and all that sort of stuff, and just having the more informal, just him sitting there having a conversation is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So hopefully we do see more.
I guess along the Monastery Swift Spear ban lines, he also mentioned that there are still like watching Kuldotha. The cards they noted were quite or Gavin noted were quite interesting to me. He basically said one of the stronger 1-drop creatures, so like Tomb Raider, Galv Blast because it also nerfs the artifact decks, and Bushwhacker because it's so explosive. Kuldotha was not mentioned there. Like, I just assumed that would be the main card that you would ban from Kuldotha is Kuldotha because it enables all of the other cards.
Yeah, I think the weird thing is you want something that does something unique. So to me, the cards, if I was going to ban something in red, I don't think red's too much of a problem right now, but that's not to say that it might be with obviously the glitters ban. But I do think having something that's quite unique is what I would say would be the target. So to me, one of the 1-drops makes no sense. Like, I wouldn't ban Tomb Raider, I wouldn't ban I forgot the other Blast Runner. Like, those 1-drops wouldn't make sense to me because they're all very samey. Like, let's be honest, you could probably run in Monk Conscripts or something in there. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But something that does something unique, like Bushwhacker, rewards you for going wide. It gives you that hasty threats. Kuldotha is 1 mana, 3 guys. That's fairly unique. And then Galv Blast is pretty much the only spell that does 4 damage. Is an incredible amount of burst. Like, those 3 would be the 3 that were on my list if I was to say ban something out of red.
Yeah, I thought there might be some consideration for synth as well. Well, there might be some consideration, but he didn't mention synth.
Yeah, that is true.
As another one that like impacts on the artifact style decks as well.
Yeah, I think it's just one of them things that it's strange. It's like synth and terror have almost like integrated to just be part of the format. They're so unique in like what they've done. Like, same with Murmur Mystic. It's another card that's like sort of like cemented themselves as a pillar of the format already, and it's just. And I just feel like touching synth probably hits too many other decks, even though I know it's probably broken in red, like, it makes the other decks more fun. It's the same argument with, I guess, the bridges. It's like, You don't want to touch the bridges because we'll ban all these other cards instead. But
Yeah.
look at this Cleanse and Wildfire pile, it's fun.
Yeah.
Like,
So obviously alongside the glitters, they did talk about banning the artifact lands.
yeah.
I guess the reason ultimately was that you could, whichever ones you banned, they were sort of replaceable. Like the bridges were the better ones, but you could just replace them with the Mirrodin ones, and
Mm.
then the Mirrodin ones are the most fragile ones, so they're easier to hit out.
Mm.
Um. So yeah, the bridges once again crop up in this should be banned, but get away unscathed.
Yeah. And I guess the interesting one, and the to me the really interesting part of the announcement, which I really do like.
Do you mean worrying?
No, I am worried because obviously it shows Wizards in a semi weird light. Like, why did you get to that point where obviously,
Yeah.
but the forward thinking side, like one thing that really always sticks in my head, and I mentioned it to Hyson, is when Energy Refractor was announced and the Brothers War thing, and it was just like, this card is very close to Prophetic Prism, which is also on the ban list. I am really interested in keeping an eye on this card. You may hear about this soon. These pre-announcements show communication. Like, not everything needs to be a YouTube video. Just a tweet saying that was perfectly fine. And this is the same instance. So Gavin has said the PFP don't have access to this, which was probably a big important thing to know before I asked Tyson what he thought the card was. So, but the announcement was that right after MH3, they're going to do another announcement because he has seen a card that is very, very similar to a card that is already banned in Modern Horizons 3. So that could be something like, I don't know, it could be Chatstorm, but in red that makes goblins.
I think he sort of said it even like to a bigger extent than that. He basically said he thinks it needs banned.
Yeah.
And it's not even being printed yet. So it is worrying. Like the power level of this MH3 set, it just looks absolutely bonkers. And obviously the comments aren't immune from that. Like the power level of comments that is about to get dropped into Pauper is huge.
Yeah. As always is with all Modern Horizon sets, they are very much, the power level is generally insane, and generally,
Format warping, some would say.
yes. But yeah, having this card, like Gavin said, that they usually like to have a card injected into the format, see how it goes, like they did with all the glitters, like they did with Swiftspear, and then ban them. Generally, but they also want, with the power level of this card, they do not want to get to a Chatstorm level where it's months before they ban it. So that is also worrying, that it must be close to the power level of a card that they're just like, wow, this card needs banned before it's even in the format.
It's just going to be Atog, but he's an Eldrazi now. Or like Cranial Plating, but it's Phyrexian mana.
Yeah. So keep an eye out for a card that looks very similar to this card that is on a ban list. So just keep an eye. You'll probably be able to tell which card it is. But
I imagine as soon as it's spoiled, everyone will know which card it is.
But he did say that he would not be surprised if there was more, but this is the one card that stood out. So I wouldn't be surprised. This set is going to be strong.
But yeah, I guess the big thing to take away from that is we're going to have another announcement pretty shortly. Like it won't be as big of a gap as we've waited for this one.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, it was a really good video. I would definitely recommend anyone watches it.
Yeah.
Who is interested in seeing what Gavin has to say.
Yeah, 100%. And also just check out even the article if you don't want to have 15 minutes to, it delves into just as much detail. Anyways, would you like to move on to the Friday challenge?
Yeah. So obviously the last challenges we're going to be seeing glitters, I imagine. I assume that the ban is basically live as per the announcement, as it normally does. So Friday the 10th of May, it was a 32 challenge fight with 42 players. First place was Gardens. Second and third were a pair of Culdautors. Fourth was Cycle Storm.
Whoop, whoop.
Fifth was Blue White Glitters. Las Vegas Chaos, repping the last hurrah for Blue White Glitters. Sixth was Mogwarts. Seventh was Corgates, and eighth was another copy of Kuldotha. And then the two near misses. Ninth was Jeskai Wildfire, and 10th was Poison Storm.
Wait.
So yeah, obviously the Las Vegas Chaos carrying my hot take from last week as well, which is a shame that this is going to be the last time I'll get put blue white glitters in a hot take.
Is it really that sad?
Well, no. But yeah, they've obviously put a lot of time into the deck. We've seen them in challenges a lot with it, especially the version with Fire X and Walker.
Yep.
So yeah, it's good to see them back smashing it.
Yeah.
As well as just people smashing it with the same deck. Tyrube once again top 8 in a challenge with Cycle Storm like no one else can.
Yeah. For sure.
I don't even know what to comment on that. His list look basically the same as it always looks. It definitely seems to be the only person who can just play this and just destroy everything.
Yeah, looking at it looks exactly like the his normal list. Maybe the Duresses are added. I'm not really sure. I can't really remember. But yeah, everything else looks the same. The one off stuff out, the one off Vision Charm, and 2 Pyroblast, all that sort of stuff. Definitely. One thing that obviously shines out here is what 3 Kuldotha in the top 8.
Yeah. Big show from Kuldotha.
Definitely spiked the event. I checked. Only 6 people registered Kuldotha on the Friday challenge, and 3 of them are in the top 8. Unless they played red without Kuldotha in. That was what I control F to find in the entire event. But yeah,
that is pretty low. Or no, not pretty low, but it's down on what we have been seeing. To be fair, we usually average about 10 to 12 pilots a challenge. Obviously, it's a slightly smaller challenge with only 42 players, but yeah, still only 6 pilots is low.
I think generally it was low overall, so it was like 22% of the meta last week, and was only 15% of the meta this week over the whole weekend.
Yeah, it's dropping.
So dropping. Unlucky for GN, he was very certain on 15%, and we told him to go to 10, and you know he should have stuck to his guns and not been bullied into 10. It's his own fault, really. My other thing is obviously looking at it. It is a rough top 8 for Mogwarts here with obviously 3 Kuldotha and also a Cycle Storm. So I'm not surprised that pipped at the first hurdle here for Amuda. Ended up losing to obviously Mono Red as well, which was again no real surprise.
Yeah,
but
interesting though, despite all the Mono Red in the top 8, we've still got some spicy off the wall combo decks in Cycle Storm and Poison Storm just in 10th. Making a showing alongside obviously Mogwarts as a combo deck as well. So combo still going strong.
I really do like President A's Poison Storm list. I've seen a lot of mainly Kali and things like that who are trying Poison Storm and playing Poison Storm go low on the prologues and basically run 4 of the black, draw 2, lose 2, gain a poison, and then running low on the prologues. But President A's went the opposite way and went 4 inquiries, 4 prologues, and then kind of still managed to find space for some steady progresses as well, but also kept Lotus Petal in, which is really a good addition to kind of speed up sort of taking actions for a deck that's usually pretty slow. And then also has really interesting sideboard cards to me, like 4 Dispel, 2 Counterspell, and 3 Healer of the Glade, along with 4 Nile Spell Bombs.
Is that the 1 mana 1/2 or something?
Yeah, 1 mana 1/2 that gains 3 when it enters.
Yeah.
Just generally really interesting sideboard. Opting no Moments Piece, no Bring the Endings, no Arms of Adar. Yeah, just generally all round just a really interesting sideboard. And
the Moments Piece are all in the main.
Yes, obviously.
But yeah, obviously we've seen how good 1/2s are in Thraben Inspector, at staving off Mono Red for a good few turns. So yeah, the Healer of the Glade seems like a really cool shout as a game 3 life and block probably 2 to 6 damage.
Yeah.
I am surprised how much room they've managed to find for the Lotus Petals and the steady progress.
Yeah, and also an additional 4 green 2 mana hit something like Weathers and Moments Piece. It's usually 1 in the main, 1 in the side.
Yeah,
a lot of room.
It is a cool take on the list, definitely, and nice to see steady progress back. That's something I haven't seen in a very long time.
For sure. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me. The other thing, I guess we got to mention the Jeskai Wildfire pile as per usual, and still interestingly enough, gone down the lower pinpoint removal and opting for like breath weapons and things like that. Has gone back to Kenku's as well.
Yeah, it was something I thought was a bit weird. It just seems like not a like is Kenku really cutting it anymore?
No, I don't think so.
Especially when you've got like stuff like Murmur and Mystic to win the game
Yeah.
game with. Do you need to be Kenkuing?
Yeah, not a big fan. But
Especially at 2 as well, like not even just a 1-off. Yeah, it seemed a weird one.
One thing that I am liking about the Jeskai Wildfire piles is the red sideboard strategy of Godfarer's Faithful has overperformed for every time I've seen it. Gaining an absurd amount of life. A lot of them I've seen run up to 3 and 4 of them. So I'm not surprised this card is making the cut in sideboards for sure.
Secretly transforming into fans.
Yeah.
It is a really hard card for red to deal with, just having that 4 toughness. Especially now they're not playing as much burn. Like there's no seals, there's no lava darts, there's no fire blasts.
Yeah.
So you're having to like chain 2 premium burn spells into it to get rid of it.
Yeah, 100%. Pretty sweet to see. We'd like to move on to Saturday.
Yeah. So the Saturday 32 challenge, slightly more players with 47. First place was Dredge, which is sweet to see. Second place is Boros Glitters. Third is Blue Black Fair. Fourth is Fams. Fifth is Blue Black Fair. Sixth is Walls Combo. Seventh is Mogwarts. And eighth is a third copy of Blue Black Fair. And then the 2 near misses. Ninth was a Boros Glitters and 10th was Kuldotha. I guess probably the best place to start with this is first with the Dredge win.
Yeah.
And not only that, it's like quite an interesting Dredge list. It's super low on the exhumes in the main, with only 1 in the main. And on the Rubble Belt Maverick and extra land cyclers that we've seen, was it 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
As well as Conduit Pylons as a 2-of from the new set. It seems like a card that is slotted right into Dredge.
Yeah, I really am a big fan of this pack. Like, seeing it play out, like, it's like an amalgamation to a list. Like, when Conduit Pylon came out, someone made this, like, really low land count list that ran 4 Conduit Pylons, a bazillion land cyclers. I think we seen it last week. And it's really an interesting list because obviously you get to Pylon with the trigger, the Surveil trigger on the stack. You can land cycle, pick a land, and then get value off your Surveil, which is really cool to see. But there is often times where 4's too many. You just end up with like 3 Conduit Pylons because you're only running like 13 lands. And this list seems to take not only the Conduit Pylon list, what's good about that, but also take what's really good about the standard Dredge, and then sort of jam them together, which I really do like, because 4 Conduit Pylons seemed a lot. The heavy land cyclers is also pretty good, but you get Rubble Belt Maverick, you get the general land cyclers, you've got Circular Land Druid to do some fancy shenanigans at bringing back lands and stuff like that when you're Dread returning. And Conduit Pylon's really good at obviously just unearthing the mutt, which is really great to see. And I just think this list seems pretty well refined. I do think the one thing that, as you mentioned, does stand out to me is the exhumes.
Obviously losing that explosiveness, it will lose you some games. Like there's some games where essentially the only way you're going to win is like turn 2 and a troll. But obviously the bonus is you get a lot more room to put like 4 Rubble Belt Mavericks in and enhance your main plan.
Yeah, and I think especially with Pylon as well, having that access to turn 2 exhume is a lot easier. Like I've seen games where people like just Conjure Pylon, mill a random do. Like could be literally a land cycle. It could be a Lotless Giant. It could even be, just a 2-mana land cycle, and just having that exhume not be dead in your hand is pretty big. So I don't see a reason not to run it. I do, however, think the deck's probably moved away from a lot of Acorn Harvests, and I think this sort of pilot has sort of agree with that, only running the 2. And I wouldn't be surprised if it even went lower to fit exhumes in as well. But deck's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
for
the
sure.
sideboard is quite interesting as well, with
Mm.
4 snuff outs,
Yeah.
as well as two exhumes to board in when you want that exhume plan.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
it's a bit different. Obviously, 2 rare revelations that can come out now,
Yeah.
and probably a lot of ancient grudges that can also come out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but this top 8 in general is sort of a bit of a flip from the Friday's top 8,
Mm.
with basically Blue Black Fair replacing what was Kuldotha.
Mm-hmm.
We've still got a decent chunk of combo with Hamuda once again on Mogwarts, but with Walls combo and with Dredge as well as Fams.
Mm.
We've still got a Glitters in the Boros Glitters, but then just essentially flipped Blue Black Fair and Kuldotha around.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's pretty interesting to be fair. Like, I think this was the first time Walker has picked up fams as well. I think they said, and they played.
He must have knew the Glitters ban was coming. He was like, I'm gonna have to prepare for this. I can't
Yeah.
play Jeskai anymore.
Yeah, that's what it was. Insider information. Hyson's leaked it, confirmed. Also, Carrot Eater on Blue Black Fams is interesting. Like, usually a dedicated
Blue
core.
Black Fair, yeah.
Blue Black Fair, sorry. Usually a core gate pilot. But decided to pick up the other annoyingly awkward blue deck to play. Yeah, seems to work out well. Obviously, clearly a very good blue mage, and can win with pretty much anything really. Other thing I think was Paulo on the non-end build of no, he's went the other way. He went full ham on the 4 generous end for the walls, which was pretty cool. But other than that, I think looks fairly stock, right? Nothing too out of the ordinary for the combo walls. Oh, the Fang Dragons in the side is an interesting one. I guess another way to find your breath weapon removal spell or whatever off a Lead the Stampede and wind them away. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I do like those sort of is it adventure
Yeah.
creatures in the Walls deck, just obviously with the Wineaways and the Lead the Stampedes.
Yeah.
They do add like quite a lot, like the Guardian Naga as well. Yeah, it's sweet to see them see a bit more play.
Yeah. Fully committed to the 8, right, with the Pegasus Guardian too.
Yeah.
Fully committed. Love
it's a very stacked sideboard of adventures.
Yeah, pretty interesting
like,
topic.
1 Radiant Grove as well, like something I haven't seen too often. I'm assuming that's for just the like massive slew of white sideboard cards.
Yeah.
With the 6 acolytes and then 5 adventure creatures.
Yeah. Makes sense to be fair, but definitely overall pretty interesting. I guess the mnemonic walls are really weird on the sideboard with actually not that many spells. You've got like a Reaping and then 8 Wind and Way effects or 8 Lead effects or whatever.
Yeah, it's getting a drawback, isn't it, I guess?
But pretty cool to see. Obviously, the last time we'll see Boros Glitters, probably resume to Boros Synth again.
Yeah, it just takes 4 glitters out, really, doesn't it? There's not a huge amount that changes.
Yeah. Changes its 2 mana artifacts, I guess. Currently running Wedding Invitation, I imagine.
I think the biggest thing we're going to see with this Glitters ban is the sideboard changes. Like we mentioned with Dredge, with like Rare Revelation, and Ancient Grudge in the sideboard, but like the Boros decks as well, with like stacked up on like Destroy Evils and Dawnbringers and Gorilla Shamans. It basically every deck is packing something for glitters. And for that to essentially just disappear completely, like the main glitters decks don't function like they do without glitters. Like blue white is dead.
Yeah.
And Boros turns into like a mid range pile that Artifact Hate's not that great against. And Enchantment Hate's even worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, it will be interesting to see how that shifts. Hopefully it makes us to just start cheaper so I can get some more.
Would you like to move on to the Sunday 64?
Yeah, so only 1 challenge on Sunday. Sunday the 12th, we had 68 players, which I think is about normal. First place was Blue Black Fair. Second place was Fams. Third place was also Blue Black Fair. Fourth was Gardens. Fifth was Blue Black Terror. 6th was Kuldotha, 7th was Kuldotha, 8th was Poison Storm, and then the 2 near misses. 9th was a 3rd copy of Kuldotha, and 10th was Grixis Affinity.
Twister knew it was
so
getting banned. Was
yeah,
practicing.
so yeah, not as dominant from the Kuldotha as the Friday challenge, as like not as high up the top 8, but still 3 copies there making the top 10. Is pretty big. I don't know if you know how many were in the
14.
The
I was literally just checking there. 14 in the 64.
Yeah, so that's sort of more what we would expect to see. So it's sort of about right. But yeah, 3 making the top 10 is pretty big. And GN, he didn't need the backup challenge.
Nope. Don't need
He's
it.
just coming second with FAMs.
Probably has more time to win, to be fair, because he's not double queuing.
Yeah. And yeah, once again, Poison Storm seems like a deck to be on at the moment. It's just doing really well. Was it the same pilot? Did you know?
It's not the same pilot, but
No.
Looking at it, it is the same list. Potentially, yeah, it is. It's the same list.
Exactly the same, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Deck's pretty sweet. I really do like the pet. I like the petal inclusion. Unsure about the actual build up of the rest of the deck. Like the 8 like green interaction spells with the moment space and weather and things. Cutting deep analysis and things like that, I think's totally fine. Going up on the prologues, I really do like. I do like the whole prologue plus inquiry. It really gives you game against the combo decks, and also gives you game against the aggro decks, because the biggest way you'll lose is not killing them fast enough. Like, you don't have an issue with the whole stalling for a couple of turns. I've often found myself tripping up on not being able to kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's another deck that's probably going to change with this glitters ban. Like you say about the 8 green pieces in the main, you probably don't really need the moments pieces.
Yeah.
Once the glitters banned, because obviously the moments pieces ideally for glitters and the weather the storms ideally for mono red. If that like essentially one half of that aggressive strategy just disappears, I imagine it creates a lot more room in this deck.
You say that until terror appears, and then you're like, oh shit, I need my moments pieces again.
The room it creates is for that edict that gives them a poison. And then it goes to poison control. You just slowly grind them
out. But yeah, overall, pretty interesting top 8. Obviously, a lot of red. Still got a couple of blue-black decks. You got 2 blue-black Fair. Obviously, Bako standard, insane pilot. Carrot Eater again, showing that no matter what blue deck he plays, he's still going to tear up with it. Then you've obviously got the blue-black Terror as well, which looks fairly stock. Feel like Daniel's like basically on this almost all the time at this point. And he's doing really well with it, to be fair.
I think this might be something I potentially look at to play on Wednesday, given the glitters ban. I think I'll probably cut the Archaeologist, but probably something like Blue-Black Terror, maybe a more blue slanted version. Just splashing the black for maybe Snuff Outs and Fangs. But yeah, it is cool to see it still performing after all this time.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't think there's anything too exciting. The 4th place Gardens list looks fairly stock, like an old school Gardens list, winning with Avenging Hunter and no Campfires, which I think I'm fine with. I probably imagine that will change given the glitters ban. Want some sort of grind against the control decks that are probably going to appear.
The 10th place Grixis Affinity, piloted by Twister, was quite interesting because back on Frogmites.
Yeah.
With 4 Frogmites, 4 Mare Enforcer, alongside the 4 Galv Blasts, so like take a more aggro role. And I imagine with this glitters ban and the blue-white glitter space just disappearing, a more aggro slanted Grixis Affinity deck might be something that could pick back up. Obviously, you've still got all the good creatures, just no reason to play white anymore.
Yeah, you might. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe not, but I wouldn't be surprised if you found them cutting a colour instead of going Grixis, going like 2 colour of some description, whichever way that might be, and just go aggressively. I don't know, blue-red or something, or red-black or something. To be more aggressively slanted, as you say, because less tap lands is probably better. But yeah.
Yeah, true.
But it'll be
It's
definitely
it's
interesting
always
to
a
see.
hard one with Grixis is what if you go two colours, what do you lose? Like, do you
Yeah.
cut the black for the draw engine? Do you cut the red for the burn? Or do
Mm.
you cut the blue for the like draw engine plus counterspell access?
Yeah, true enough. But it will be interesting to see
Mm.
if they do end up.
But, yeah, a blue red one might be quite interesting.
You got reverse engineer. It's close enough to Deadly Speed, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you maintain Thoughtcast and still Galvanic Blast and
Yeah.
Review.
Yeah. So pretty interesting and great to see that we've got this space to sort of do that with like Affinity. So yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool top 8s all round, well, top 10s all round to be fair. Decks that we haven't seen for a while. Pilots playing decks that they haven't played, really. You've obviously got a good chunk for Cold Author, good chunk for Blue Black Fair. You've got good amount of combo in all three, a good amount of control in all three, and you've got very few decks that, to be fair, are like now no longer decks. Like obviously you've got one blue white glitters in the Friday. You've got what two Boros glitters on the Saturday, and then nothing affected on the Sunday. So
yeah, well, I think every deck will be affected ultimately. I think the biggest change we're going to see next week, obviously, there won't be any glitter decks, but the sideboards will be drastically different
for sure.
And even some of the main deck inclusions like that Poison Storm we touched on.
Definitely for sure. Like the decks will change, but like not dead. Like you haven't got like a wasted top 10 almost, if you know what I mean. Which is,
and I
quite
think
nice.
only blue white glitters really dies. Like the Boros just essentially reverts to what it was before it put 4 glitters in.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be an interesting ban.
Yeah.
It is nice that it essentially just kills one problematic deck and removes that that card. Like it's going to impact stuff like Bogles and Heroic and stuff, but they can sort of revert back to where they were before the glitters, especially like Bogles where it's only playing 2. It's not too big of a cost.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's been a pretty good ban. Initially, it's pretty nicely pointed at the one problem.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add before we move on to shoutouts and hot takes?
No, go for it.
No. So just generally shout out obviously for Hyson. If you didn't know that Hyson will be on later this week with us at an exclusive video where we were live reacting to obviously the announcement, which was also quite interesting. Shout out to him and obviously the PFP generally for obviously keeping up the communication. Always great to see. Shout out to all the grinders that played this week. Obviously Bake Off for the win, Fams for the second, Carrot Eater for trying something new, Probo for being on Blue Black Fair as well, top 8, and Hamuda for the standard grind, Tyrube again for Cycle Storm, and obviously Las Vegas Chaos. Rest in peace, my friend. You are not on your deck anymore. Find something new.
He'll have to go back to Ponza now, right?
Yeah. We'll go back to something. Be on like Blue Red Scrid or something next week. Yeah, and hot takes.
Yeah, so our hot takes from last week, some are going to be more relevant than others now.
Yeah.
My one from last week was that Blue White Glitters would return to one of the top 8s. It did. Las Vegas Chaos carried me there.
Yeah.
It will not be returning to any top 8s after this.
No. GN's top hot take was that Mono Red will decrease to 10% or less of the amount. Technically, he did say 15%, but we made him bully him to 10. Well, I bullied him to 10, and it was 15%. So, yeah, still pretty good.
He's a quite a big
drop
decrease as well, to be fair.
But so then again, you've also lost a challenge too.
Well, yeah, true.
And also, it's the double. It's the aggro challenge. So it kind of fits more into where it was, but obviously had a positive win rate this week as opposed to last week where it had a negative win rate. And my hot take was that Tribe will be more represented than the 7 pilots over the weekend. There was only one, and it was Season of Mist, who top 8 with Tribe last week. So yeah,
a bit far from 7.
I think it's because Kirby pulled off on it. I think he played like all 4 challenges last week and played Tribe. He said, I'm not going to play that this time.
It was 4 of the 7 people.
And then Season of the Mist was the other 3.
So our hot takes for next week
Yep.
I haven't actually looked at mine after this announcement.
I was going to say, do you want to change your do you want to change any of your hot takes while you're?
No, I think it's still fine. I haven't mentioned blue white glitters this time. So my first one, that is that top eights would start to look more like Kuldotha versus Fair plus 1 to 3 other decks. I'm not sure how that's gonna fare now that glitters is gone, so that decks now have essentially a bunch of free sideboard space. Assuming Grixis Affinity just doesn't fill that role immediately, it's a lot of extra hate towards Fate or towards Kuldotha if they need it.
Yeah, but then again, I also think in an open space metagame where you don't know what Public Enemy is, Kuldotha and Fate do also fill that slot very well.
Yeah.
So in that sense, like, you could be, if they're still keeping the sideboards the same, or if they don't know what to do with those sideboard slots effectively, like, you can, Kuldotha and Blue-Black Fate can punish them quite easily because they are very well-established decks and won't really change apart from a couple of slots here and there.
Yeah.
That I think that they might still be able to get into the top 8 quite easily, depending on how the metagame shakes out to be. So I could see it going both ways is what I'm trying to say, definitely.
Yeah.
My hot take is that Tron, specifically Flickertron, but I'm just going to write Tron, will top 10 next week. It's got free pass now.
I was going to ask if you had a specific Tron in mind.
Probably Flickertron. Unfortunately, like RC Clint's coming back out of retirement. But I guess it could be Monstertron, but highly doubtful.
My second one is that Dredge would back-to-back top 8s, and we'll see another Dredge deck, probably in its new rubber belt form, in one of the top
8s. My other one is that combo percentage will increase. So currently we've got, like, I think 2 or 3 combo decks in the top 10, and I think you've probably got more than half. I don't know why.
That is quite high for combo in Pauper, to be fair.
Yeah.
So I was feeling like at the moment it's quite high with like 2 to 3 each challenge.
It's going higher. Doubling down.
We're aiming for 50%
50%
top 8 of combo.
50% top 8 of combo amongst all the challenges. That's it.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Depends on the combo, I guess.
Yeah.
If it's farm,
it isn't there to farm it.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't race it now. So.
Exactly. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, that's it from me. It'll be an exciting one next week.
Yeah. So, guys, thank you all for listening. Do not forget to stay tuned to later this week where we speak to Hyson and get our live reactions to the bannings, obviously. And also, stay tuned for next week where, obviously, we get the exciting effects of the Glitters ban. Sorry. Yeah. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please do not forget to share it with your friends, your local Pauper community, and do not forget to tell your golf ball diver. I'm really enjoying Reese filling out these. It saves me a job. It's really great.
Google obscure jobs.
And if you're interested in attending our event on the 1st of June, please buy your tickets now and we will see you there. That is all from us at Casting Commons. Until next time, and do not forget to stay hydrated. Peace!
Bye.